This is from a blog post that I wrote on April 4th, 2010, entitled It Gets Different. In some circles, when someone is going through a rough time, you'll frequently hear a wise elder say, "Well, it might get better, it might get worse, but rest assured it'll get different." At first blush, this is almost embarrassingly simplistic. It may, it may seem jingoistic and trite, but there's so much more to it than that. If we were to treat everything as if it were subject to change, which it is, I suspect that we'd be considerably more authentic, genuine, appreciative, and happy. Truth of the matter is that we spend almost our entire lives treating impermanent things as if they're permanent. Remember the last time you lost a job that you didn't intend to lose? How about the last relationship that came to an end unexpectedly? Have you known someone to die of unnatural causes? Have any ladies out there ever torn your pantyhose unexpectedly? Have your kids ever broken a dish? Here's the rub. When I treat something as unchanging and then it changes, then the subtle sense of security I had mistakenly given that thing provides a source of unexpected emotional disruption. With your permission, please let me repeat that again. When I treat something as unchanging and it changes, then the subtle sense of security I had mistakenly given that thing provides a source of unexpected emotional disruption. This is, in my experience, why we feel so groundless and lost when a loved one dies, when we get the unexpected layoff, when our clothing gets torn and soiled on the way to a job interview, and when our dinnerware gets unexpectedly broken. The problem actually isn't that they died, or that the job ended, or that the plate broke, for that's the nature of life, jobs, and plates. The problem was mistakenly expecting that those things wouldn't change, and therefore in trying to get some sense of stability and security out of things which are incapable of providing it. If we expecting a building to last forever, and a terrorist blows it up, our security is so threatened that we decide that we must go to war. If we expect our reputations to be above reproach all the time, no matter what, and our family member is critical of us, we cause a rift which lasts for generations. If we expect our spouse or partner to be forever faithful and they stray, we go through a heart-wrenching breakup or divorce. If we expect to be a successful business person and our business is disrupted, we collapse emotionally. If we believe that our political candidate of choice will deliver us our needs or will nicely represent our principles, then 4 or 8 years later, when the other guys are in office, we think that this country is headed down the tubes. All that has happened in any of these examples, and please look to your own life for more examples, is that we had an expectation of permanence that wasn't met. How tragic! I suspect that any time you're unhappy, you can trace back to find something that you treated as impermanent to be permanent. Try it now. I mean it. Stop listening to this or stop watching this video and find something that caused you suffering. Now go back to the assumption that you'd made that something would be permanent. You're suffering because your hips torture you and they're wearing out of old age. You probably had deep expectation that your body would permanently be pain-free. You're pissed because your kids make bad choices. You probably had an expectation that the innocence of their youth, coupled with your good parenting, create a permanent situation in which they'd make good choices, at least around the big things, and then you're disappointed deeply when you find that you're wrong. Life, however, doesn't play by our all too human tendencies to find patterns of false permanency where there in fact is none. It isn't possible for life to show you what's next. Life is magical, mysterious, and does not lend itself to telling you what's going to happen next. This isn't to say that we don't make our best estimate and then take the next step, but this ever-changing nature is precisely where its vibrancy and magic comes from. This is where all potential turns into reality. This is just where life demonstrates its magical display of awe and wonder. If you have a deep need for stability and security, this display of awe and wonder will sound like moronic, namby-pamby hippie stuff. The bad news is that even with your preference for stability and security, it won't help. It will just set even higher levels of expectation that will increase the divide between your needs and your experience. To precisely that degree, you will suffer unnecessarily. Life isn't knowable for certain. Our bodies will die. Our planet will disappear, perhaps in many billions of years, but it will disappear. Our government will change. Our families will cease. Our culture will decline. Our leaders will cease to be leaders. Our relationships will change. So if we think about this deeply, one would think that we'd be depressive, yes? Absolutely not. I challenge you. Consider impermanence and do so deeply. All that happens is that your sense of clinging to the unclingable will erode. You will experience life more fully. Your relationships won't be based upon future security, but rather upon a sense of current wonder. Your appreciation will skyrocket as you'll not fatally attempt to wrest a probable tomorrow out of a wonderful today. You will sense contentment, gratitude, and love in ways that you've never experienced before then. As a monk, I have dedicated myself to renunciation. There are many misunderstandings about that word. At its heart, the renunciation I'm describing is that of letting go of seeking security from things that can't possibly give us security. In this way, it is much more about renouncing a discounted version of tomorrow for a delightful, awake version of today. What an utter, utter joy. It gets different. Much love to you, Gelong Tashi.